Hello everyone and welcome to another video, and yes, I'm doing another ranking video. When it comes to Formula 1, I'm a very opinionated person and I really enjoy doing these rating or ranking videos, and they seem to be quite popular on YouTube. I see a lot of these rank these liveries or these cars or these tracks, because in sport, as we all know, in sport people tend to be opinionated. So I'm going to do ranking the top 10 best F1 liveries of all time, in my opinion. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion. If you disagree with this, then that's absolutely fine. If you agree with this, then brilliant. But if you want to comment, then please leave a comment below. But please don't say mean things to me if I don't have your livery in my top 10. But here we go. Obviously, we're starting with the 2009 Brawn GP BGP 001, which won the Formula One World Constructors' Championship and Drivers' Championship in 2009, and was piloted by Jenson Button, who won that year's championship, and Rubens Barrichello. But never mind that, we don't care about that. I want to talk about the livery. I'm not even going to talk about the shape of the car. I'm not doing best looking cars, I'm doing best liveries. Now, the reason why I love this livery is just because it's so simple, yet it has just enough on it to make it not boring. Because, when you try to be simple, there is a risk that your livery might turn out to be boring. This just has enough on it. Like, I love the lime green wheel covers on the wheels. I love the kind of lime green and black stripes that are neatly placed on the car. I love the outlines, the black and yellow outlines, not yellow, black and green outlines are just neatly scattered all over the car in just the right places. And the white is a really complementary, really nice colour to go with this. It's just such a simple, elegant, memorable design. And that is why it is in my top 10. Now, there are a couple of other liveries that I thought, should I put these in the top 10? But this just about made it in the top 10. I love it, but there are 9 other liveries that I prefer to this, for good reason. On to number 9, and we have the Benson and Hedges Jordan livery of the late 90s and early 2000s. And I specifically have chosen the 1999 Jordan livery, but I love all of them. Such an iconic livery once again. The yellow just pops. It's so bright, it's so noticeable. It's a really funky, just a really fun design, the Benson and Hedges era, this, I believe, a hornet they put on the nose of the car, and races where tobacco advertising was banned, Benson and Hedges used to do clever subliminal logos. For example, they used to do bitten and hisses, or be on edge, or buzzing hornets. But I do prefer it with the standard logo. I don't know why, just because I prefer having actual brands on cars rather than subliminal messaging in replace of brands. I don't know why. It just feels more authentic this way. But yeah, I love this livery because it's just so bold and bright and colourful, and I love that. And on this car particularly, I don't know why, but this is probably my favourite of the Benson Hedges Jordan liveries. Don't know why, just think it looks great on this car. And yeah, the Jordan team obviously never was the most successful team in F1 while they were in the sport, but 1999 was their most successful season. Heinz-Harald Frentzen actually had a championship challenge in this car, believe it or not. But yeah, unfortunately he wasn't to win the title. That would go to Mick Hakkinen in the McLaren. But yeah, I really love this livery, and it definitely deserves to be in my top 10. Moving on to number 8. Now this could be a controversial opinion because lots of people don't like Mercedes, hate this team because they win all the time, and people perceive this team to be boring. I disagree with that. I don't think Mercedes is a boring team. I think their social media is very good. Not the best. I don't really know what team has the best social media, but they are still up there, Mercedes, and I think I like a lot of what they do. But Mercedes liveries to me, other Mercedes liveries to me, I have to admit, have been quite boring or just generally quite dull. But the 2019 Mercedes livery for me is just absolutely just they've nailed it. It's perfect. You know, this has to be for me the best Mercedes livery of all time. The silver, it's a really, really lovely shade of silver. It really shines. You can see the shininess on this car more than other Mercedes cars, I feel. And I prefer the Petronas font in black rather than white. I think it complements the silver much better. We've got this really lovely Petronas swoop across the side of the car and this kind of hue that's kind of exuding from it. And it really shows up even better in night races. It really, really just glows, and I love that. And another thing Mercedes introduced with this livery style is the gradient. And usually I hate gradients. I think gradients will usually look really cheap, really dated, really tacky, but this, it really works here. It really does. And I love the Mercedes, the little stars you see as well on the side here. I think it really goes well with the gradient. I think it really, really works. And also a really lovely thing as well. Unfortunately, the cause, the root of this gesture isn't lovely at all. Niki Lauda's sad passing, which, you know, all of us were very sad when it happened. But I loved how, as a tribute, they put a red star on the side there. A red star on the side, which I thought was a really, really lovely tribute and really, really nice. So yeah, this definitely is in my top 10 because it's just a really elegant, really classy, sleek, graceful livery, and definitely worthy of my top 10. Now on to number 7, the Rothmans Williams livery of the 90s. Now the 90s is arguably Williams' most successful decade in the sport. They won almost every championship in the 90s. Oh, how the mighty have fallen, because since the 90s they have been on a very steady but very sad decline from winning championships in the 90s to barely scoring points in the 2010s. But this livery for me is the best of the Williams liveries because I really like the shade of blue. It's a very nice medium shade of blue, and I love how it's complemented with these gold and red lines on the side, very neatly outlining the blue with these blue stripes, and the yellowing, the gold and red continuing on the engine cover. But yeah, really, really, really neat and tidy, and definitely an iconic livery as well, because, you know, Damon Hill, Jacques Villeneuve winning their championships in this car, or in these liveries rather, in this livery. Unfortunately, this livery is also associated with the tragic death of Ayrton Senna. Definitely a big loss to the sport, because he was really taken too soon. Who knows how many more championships he would have won. I reckon he would have won at least 2 more, but unfortunately it was not to be. But really, really lovely livery, I think. Just the blue, it's a really nice shade of blue, and the gold and the red complement it very well, I feel. So definitely a top 10 livery for me there. On to number 6, and for many this is the most iconic F1 livery. To many people, you know, I'm sure lots of people, when they think of a Formula 1 livery, this often is the livery that comes to mind, and of course it is the John Player Special Lotus livery from the 1970s to the 1980s. Now this livery to me looks good on any car, but I especially love it on the mid-1980s Lotuses. Don't know why, but I just feel the mid-1980s Lotuses have got more defined wings, I thought the late 70s Lotuses looked a bit weird, or the early 70s Lotuses rather, the front end especially. I think it looks much better on the mid 80s Lotuses, especially with Ayrton Senna's iconic helmet design at the wheel. It just works, you know, black, a simple black color with gold sponsors and just gold lines all over the car, but laid out really neatly. It's a very, very iconic, memorable livery. And a colour combination you wouldn't think would work before they did this livery, but when they did it, my god, it really does work very well. And this livery has since been recreated in the 2010s. Unfortunately, every recreation for me pales in comparison to this. The early 2010s Lotuses, I'm sorry, but the red just ruins those. The red really ruins those. And the Haas livery of 2019 doesn't have enough gold on it. It's a bit boring, but this has a perfect amount of gold. And it just suits this style of car very well. And definitely a memorable livery. And definitely belongs in my top 10. Now entering the second half of my top 10 greatest liveries in F1 history is the 2013 Caterham CT03, which was a very unsuccessful car and did not score any points in the 2013 season. But I do love a green livery, and unfortunately in Formula 1 we have not had many green liveries in this sport. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but green on a racing car just works. Hark back to the 1960s Lotuses with Jim Clark at the wheel winning championships. That was an iconic driver and livery combination. Think back to the early 2000s Jaguars, with the HSBC sponsor. They were definitely very iconic and memorable liveries. And even this era with Caterham/Lotus, they went through a name change, obviously. Really, really lovely green and yellow liveries, which really, really worked very well. But my favourite of the Caterham/Lotus and just the green liveries in general is the 2013 Caterham livery. And the reason why is most green liveries use a glossy green paint, but this livery, and also 2014 I believe, uses a metallic green, which I think works just that bit better, because glossy green is nice, but it's just not as shiny and vibrant as the metallic green. It's just so vibrant and really, really just pops, and it's so easy on the eye. I wish this livery lasted longer, because I would have loved to have seen this livery on a 2017 car, for example, because I reckon, it would work so well. And I really miss green liveries in Formula 1. And, even with the yellow really complements the green very well, actually, on the shark fin there. And on the turning vane, I believe this is called. I don't know much about aerodynamics, so I won't go into that, but really, really beautiful livery. And it's a shame that we don't have Caterham anymore. Unfortunately, they ran out of money and had to pull out of the sport after 2014. But hopefully with Aston Martin coming into Formula 1 in 2021, I believe, hopefully they bring back the green, because Formula 1 needs a green livery, let's face it really needs one. On to number 4, and it is the 2007 Ferrari F2007. Not the best name, but there we go. And the reason why I love this livery more than any other Ferrari livery in F1 history is because the shade of red and just the finish they have used is exquisite. It's a very deep, dark shade of red, and I prefer the darker shades of red to the lighter shades personally, because I don't know, lighter shades of red just look a bit amateurish to me, but the deep, dark shade of red just looks really menacing and evil, and I love that. And I love the Marlboro logo. Marlboro is definitely the most iconic sponsor in Formula 1 history, but I've never been a fan of most Marlboro associated liveries. this is a controversial opinion, but I do think the McLaren Marlboro livery is probably the most overrated livery of all time, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice livery. I think the red and the white really works, but it's not amazing. Just think it's, I don't know, it's just not as good as these 10 liveries I'm talking about here. Let's just put it that way. So, but yeah, the Marlboro. This is my favorite Marlboro livery. Even the earlier Ferrari Marlboro sponsored cars, I felt, especially in the Schumacher era, had far too much white. I've never been a fan of white on a Ferrari. I just think it looks really out of place and kind of clashes with the red almost. I just think, for me, a Ferrari has to be fully red, and this is nearly fully red. And I just really love, especially the late 2000s era Ferraris had these fully red liveries, which I just prefer. But this is my favorite, the 2007 variant, purely because it has the Marlboro logo on it, which for me works better than the barcode. I've never been a fan of the barcode. The barcode to me looks really weird. Like, is this car, you want to scan it or something? Want to scan the barcode? It's just, you think a barcode belongs on an item of, a product or something, not on a Formula One car. It just makes the car look a bit cheap. So I much prefer it with the Marlboro. And yeah, really, really lovely livery. This car, really nice. Definitely my favorite Ferrari livery of all time. Anyways, entering the podium now. Third and second were very, very hard. I didn't know which one to put ahead of the other. I really didn't know. But third place is the 2017 Toro Rosso, and I might as well include 2018 and 2019 in this because it is basically the same livery. For me, this is just the best Red Bull associated livery of all time. I mean, just look at it. The lovely blue, it's just the best shade of blue you could find, really. Just works. And the silver Red Bull logo, the silver bull not animation, just bull there, and also here and on the side of the wing, and the red stripes. It just works so well. My God. I mean, seriously, we had a boring Toro Rosso livery for over 10 years. It took them 10 years or 11 years to finally have a good livery, and here it is. And also, the three-letter abbreviation in the corner there, the red here, red there, silver. It's so beautiful. It's just, and the colors are bright, they're bold, they're fun, they're vibrant. This is what a Formula One livery should be. They shouldn't be dull and corporate and boring and grey and black and all that stuff. It should be bold and exciting and colourful. And Formula One, I'd say from the beginning of the sport, from 1950 until like the 2000s, liveries were very, very exciting and vibrant. But the 2010s was the first decade I feel that liveries took a bit of a downhill slope and weren't as good. They've just felt a bit too corporate and bland. But this could not be any more exciting. Look at it. It's just easily the best Red Bull associated livery ever, and much better than its sibling Red Bull team with the matte dark blue, not orange, yellow and red. That to me is a bit boring. But this right here, this is what the Red Bull livery should be. This looks like a proper top team livery. It's just so fun. Definitely, it could have been second on my list, but second place, I've given it the edge purely because I feel it's more iconic. And it is the Mild 7 Renault livery from like the mid 2000s, but I've chosen the 2006 in particular just because I feel it looks best on this car. But yeah, this for me easily the best Renault livery ever. I love that blue. Really works well with the yellow. I love how the yellow stripes are arranged on the car, you know. This side pod engine cover area is predominantly blue and the nose, but then you got the side, this yellow line which neatly goes along the car to the back, which I really, really love. And again, it pops. The keyword I've used here a lot is pops. You know, I love vibrant, colourful liveries. I don't like bland, boring, black, grey, you know, boring. You know, I love bright colours, you know, and this is, can you get any brighter than this, really? This is the brightest shade of blue I've seen on an F1 car, and it somehow works really well. And it, you know, dark blue really complements this as well in the yellow. You know, it just works really, really well. Definitely one of the iconic F1 liveries. Obviously, Fernando Alonso winning his 2 World Championships in this car. Well, not in this car, in these 2 Mild 7 Renault cars. And, you know, Renault liveries have not been the same since the Mild 7. You know, after this, and I might make a worst liveries of all time video as well, just because I'm really bored in isolation. You know, worst liveries of all time. The one that came after this, the ING livery. Oh my god, what a horrible livery that was. And what a shame that this beautiful livery, Mild 7, had to be replaced by that monstrosity. But this blue, really, really beautiful. Yellow complements it really well. Just a fantastic design. And I think it's aged really well, if you ask me. You know, a lot of things from the 2000s have not aged that well, but I think this livery has aged really well. I do think the one thing has not aged well, and I don't think this is the livery's fault, is this blobby logo here, which you see there as well. But I don't think that's Renault designer's fault. I think that's just the logo of this company. If you took that off, this would probably be a timeless looking livery. But number one, and a livery I go on about every single day because I love it more than I love myself. Now this livery has a lot of nostalgic value. It's just the best livery I've ever seen in my life, and I've got it as my profile picture on various social media sites. Not this particular image, but just this livery and this style of car as well. I've been going on about this livery since it came out, since I was a wee child watching the sport. It is the Vodafone McLaren Mercedes livery from 2007 to 2013. Now this livery marked McLaren's last period of success in Formula 1 to date, because since this era ended they have not been as successful. So this livery was on the card during, I could say, McLaren's last hurrah for now. Lewis Hamilton obviously won a championship in 2008 with this livery, and this livery also took many, many victories in the sport. But yeah, it's my favourite livery of all time. Simply, chrome has never been done on a Formula 1 car ever. So this is probably the most unique livery out there. Chrome has never been done, and it's probably because chrome paint weighs a lot. And I'm sure McLaren had to really invest in making sure this chrome paint was as light as possible. But my god, it really, really just works so well. With the red Vodafone accents very nicely plastered in specific areas of the car. It's just a wallpaper material, just a fantastic, beautiful, beautiful livery. And especially on the 2007 and 2008 McLarens, it works very, very well. And with Lewis Hamilton's yellow helmet, which really complements the livery very well. I cannot be more praiseworthy and more complimentary of this livery, because I stare at this car every day of my life pretty much. You know, I absolutely adore this livery because it just works. You know, it's iconic, it's unique, it's bold. The chrome, honestly, I've seen this paint job in real life at the Science Museum, I believe, about 10 years ago, maybe now. I saw in person, and the chrome, honestly, this picture does not do this livery justice. That chrome is so shiny and so just eye-catching in real life compared to photos. And the red is much more vibrant as well in real life, but it's such a phenomenal livery and easily McLaren's best livery in my opinion, and definitely the greatest Formula One livery of all time is the Vodafone McLaren Mercedes livery. I miss it very much. So there you have it, guys. That is my top 10 greatest liveries of all time, in my opinion. And I really enjoyed making this video and talking about all these liveries because it brings back a lot of memories of watching the sport as a child. And also some liveries that were there before my time. I've looked back and thought, wow, they were amazing liveries back then. But yeah, really enjoyed this. I'll probably do a worst liveries of all time video as well later on, but for now I'm kind of busy with university and all that. But you know, when I'm bored and have nothing better to do, I'll make that video. But anyway, I've enjoyed this a lot, but I hope you've enjoyed this as well as much as I have, and thank you very much for watching. And until the next time, hope you all stay safe in this coronavirus pandemic. Hope you're all staying home, making sure that this virus does not spread, and hopefully we can get the world back to normal, because I'm really missing Formula One. I'm really missing the other sports I watch. I want to see some entertainment on TV to brighten my day, and I'm sure to brighten many of your days too. So until next time, take care guys, and bye.